Incredible views this week from the Haunted Mansion, Q construction, the latest look at what's happening at Pixie Hollow, and tracks are just about ready for the Disneyland Railroad. But first, let's begin in the Esplanade with some big developments at the main entrance and the tree. From a distance out here in the Esplanade, everything looked about as we left it last week, but then as I approached the gates, I found something that I've been waiting for a little while now, for the walls to come down around the tree out in front of gates 19 and 20. They are in fact down, and just as I had expected, there's no planter. It's just plain surface. There's actually probably going to be a steel grate down there, not the wood surface there now. But no planter, and it also confirms visually. You can tell. You can look at this and see it's not going to have any kind of effect on queues forming coming out of gates 19 and 20. And by that, I mean the tree trick. It used to be that the tree was so close to the gates that it would sort of distort the fact that there was a queue there. We called it the tree trick. You get in queue 20 and then slide over to gate 19 as you approach the entrance. It turned one queue into two. They split. That's not going to happen anymore. There's plenty of space here for guests to work their way around that tree, for the queue to work around that tree. So the tree trick is over, and expect this over on the other side as well. That tree over there on the left, that's in the box of walls there, that will have the same effect there. The tree trick worked there as well, a little bit similarly, but not quite as well. Now, something that we haven't really talked about in previous updates is what's happening over here on the left side. There is construction walls on the far left side, that wide gate that they use to bring in vehicles. I had been curious as to why they had put construction walls up on that gate, but now it sounds like part of the reason could be the work that they're about to begin. We've been talking about, there was permits a while back that Disney was going to update the turnstiles, the main entry gates. We saw them working on those gates at the DCA entrance. Then they took them out. They were gone. We're going to get back to that in a second. But that project appears to be back up and going again. Per Scott Gustin on Twitter, work on the entry gates is going to begin on October 7th. And they're going to demo some of those entry gates and then rebuild them with the new system, with the expectation that new system is going to be similar to what they do in Disneyland Paris. And the first gates that are going to be done are those gates on the far left, which is related to, I think, all this construction we've been doing in the Esplanade of recent, these walls and digging things up. My understanding is that that left gate is going to be used as a temporary entrance for, to accommodate guests that are not going to be able to go through the west gates. Stay tuned for that. That's going to start happening on October 7th. That's going to be quite an adventure out in the Esplanade. I mentioned before the gates at DCA. You recall that they were testing a new system there, and then that testing stopped, and they actually completely removed those gates. New turnstiles are being installed today. This footage, courtesy of the Fresh Baked Street team, very grateful for the fan who took this video for us. They don't look the same, actually. They don't look the same as the ones that they had installed previously. This looks to be some kind of different setup, although it may not be complete. You can see the plexiglass doors there. That spot right there in the front, the white spot there for guests to flash their Magic Bands or their annual pass. I'm not sure if the barcode from your annual pass will actually work there or not. And I expect that this is the final form. They have solved or worked out whatever issue they were having with the main gates initially. That I have a feeling those testing didn't go very well. This is our final product here. And then all the turnstiles eventually will become what you're looking at here. And that's going to start on the Disneyland side, October 7th. With that, we'll head into the park and check in on what's happening at the Disneyland Railroad Station and Town Square, the main entrance. Everything looks to be as we left it. The scrim is up and covering the entirety of the Disneyland Railroad train station. Nothing we can see behind there. All that work is happening. Occasionally, I'll see a shadow of a figure walk by there, but we can't really tell at all what they're doing back there. Nothing yet on, I've been updated by mulch. This is mulch as opposed to sod, but nothing happening there. It could be that that's the final product there, just mulch. On the rear side here, or I should say on the Disneyland side of things, there's one of those shadowy figures. They're working right now they're walking on both sides. They're working on the roof of the covered area there where the queue forms. My guess is that they're replacing the shingles or whatever roof materials that they had up there, because we saw them strip those off last week. We saw a bag full of it. And as I mentioned, they are definitely actively whooping and hollering. you can catch a little bit of audio. I'm definitely hearing something that sounds like a belt sander. This is going to be a little while. I'm expecting this to last probably about as long as the City Hall job took, and that was a few months. So be prepared for this. Let's get down Main Street. Let's get into the park. That is our current view of how things looked on this Friday or morning at about 9:15. Delightful. Every now and then you just got to take a minute to stop and enjoy Main Street. And in this case, the horse-drawn streetcar heading down Main Street. Amazing. We'll go next to Pixie Hollow to get a look at these construction walls. Again, they obscure everything, so we're not going to be able to see much from the ground, but I just wanted to sort of give another view of the scope of this project, all the way back into the queue area back there, into the Buzz Lightyear queue. And again, all the way down the left side towards the exit of Pixie Hollow, and to include the grotto and the little path that connects this side to Astro Orbiter. But not the planter. The grassy area there is still in effect, or still there. We'll get on the Astro Orbiter, see what we can see this week. There wasn't much happening. They had just begun this process, so there wasn't much to observe in our first round trip over Pixie Hollow. This week, we can see that they have actually dug up that path that goes in front of the grotto, the little pond there. There was a concrete path separating the grassy area from the grotto. That has been dug up. The pond has been drained, and it does look like they are actively up to something in that pond, in the grotto. Pass back around again. I think there's a reasonable chance that they might bring back that water show, the light show. There's a reasonable chance that that's something that they're trying to do here, is to fix that thing, because it's been offline for years. And the reason why I'm optimistic about that is because the 70th, all this work that they've been doing is to get ready for the 70th. And that's something that I think would delight fans here to celebrate the 70th anniversary. One thing I will note is that the work does seem to be focused on just that side of things, so far at least. And this is only a month-long closure, so I don't expect anything new to develop here. I think this is it. It does look like it's just the grotto and the concrete path there, and it's not going into Pixie Hollow proper. You can see Pixie Hollow has been untouched so far. So Pixie Hollow will continue as it was, in my opinion. I don't think there's going to be any changes there. This is strictly the path and the little pond there where the light show was. Expect Pixie Hollow to reopen on October 15th. Let's go to Tomorrowland. We'll check in on Space Mountain, but just to see if there's anything happening with those construction walls that we saw pop up, after the attraction. After the attraction reopened. One of the things I noted was these walls that popped up. They haven't done anything yet. They're still here. This is an ongoing situation. I don't know I don't know what the eventual purpose will be for those, but eventually they're going to have to come down, right? So whatever it is they're doing is not completed yet. Those little boxes are up all over the place. I'm going to assume that those are light poles. They've even got two small ones out there in the helipad just to peek over into one. There's nothing happening in there. It's just an exposed wire there, exposed outlet electric, and that's it. So I think they're just waiting for whatever it is that they're doing here to be ready to go, and then they're going to install everything. That's my guess. While we're in Tomorrowland, we'll jump on the monorail coming into station as we speak. We'll ride the tail once more to get our near 360 view of things, and we'll go first to downtown Disney. I don't think there's any more work to do back here. I'm not sure why I'm still filming this. I don't think there's anything else to do there. But as we make our way further down towards Parkside Market, you can see that they are still working down there. But the concrete is done. It's been poured. And now this is now staging. That's the backside of Parkside Market that we're looking at there. So they're getting ready to start building the interiors, I would guess. That's a lot of staging for the interior construction of Parkside Market, or of the retail building, actually. We're looking at the retail building. That's Parkside Market right there, with the faux brick facade there. We'll stay on the monorail to see that the scaffolding has come down at the Indiana Jones Adventure Building. That's the show building for Indiana Jones. And the paint job is complete. I don't know how much different this looks than it was before. I mentioned last week that they're putting some palm trees. Somebody said that those were already there. I never noticed, so you could be right. But that's that's what I see now. I see they've painted palm trees onto the side of the building, and maybe changed the color of the building as well. But that's done, and we'll get an overhead look at what's happening at the Esplanade. There's that tree. I'm expecting those walls to come down on that gate here soon. Gate 13, yeah, the tree has been removed there. You can see some Silva cells, but they haven't yet put in the new concrete. And I don't know what else all that other staging is down there, what they might be up to. And there is our lone tree out there in front of gates 19 and 20. And then there's the most recent section that has been put behind construction walls, although it looks like they're further ahead. Or do I have that right? Is that the other one? Is the other one the most recent one? This is the second most recent. Yeah, because they've already poured concrete here and replaced the tree. I would expect this project to be done by the time they start that October 7th update to the front gates. Let's see what's going on the Disneyland Railroad, the tracks behind Tomorrowland. You can see there's tracks right there. They're just staged. They're laying on the ground on top of the ballast. Well, it's not quite ballast. That's just dirt. But they're getting ready to install tracks there, which is exciting. And if we go a little further, as we approach Small World, got some construction crew there. And look at that. We got railroad ties. So they're getting ready to actually put down the ties, and then the tracks will go on top of that. Incredible. I've never actually watched anybody build a railroad before. That's pretty awesome. Railroad ties are in place. Okay, guys, if you'll allow me, let me take a quick break to remind you guys of our preferred travel partners, Getaway Today. They are fans of our show, and we are fans of them. If you are planning a trip to the Disneyland Resort or to any Disney theme park or even to Universal, Alani, or anything of that nature, make your travel arrangements through Getaway Today. We love them. They are fantastic. They are the best in the business at making sure that you get everything you need out of a vacation at a Disneyland Resort or at the Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World or anywhere you like. Knowledgeable, friendly, kind, and you'll probably get a good deal there. Use the link in our description for Getaway Today. Let them know we sent you, and I hope you guys enjoy your trip. Speaking of Small World, let's check in on that status. Walls are up. This will be closed until, I'm guessing, November 15th when the Halloween or the Christmas season begins. As we mentioned last week, there's new scrim up, which suggests that this closure has more to do with Small World itself as opposed to the Disneyland Railroad construction. This is scrim and scaffold up around the Glockenspiel out there in guest-facing views of the attraction. So I don't know, but I still don't know if this is for, appearances or if there's some sort of maintenance issue that needs to be taken care of there. We'll turn around and see that they have actually applied a seal coat, it looks like. In our last update, this section was closed off to guests. The update before that, they had put down that blacktop. They had dug up the surface here and put down a new blacktop, and then they have since replace that with the typical green seal coat that you'll find on that surface there. We'll check in on the Fantasyland Theater where things are about as we left it before. They still have not resurfaced the area down there in front of the stage, and there's still some Pixar Fest themed elements here. This will be turned into a Santa meet and greet space come the holiday season, but that situation has not yet begun. Made my way next to New Orleans Square and the Rivers of America to enjoy the Mark Twain and get a shot of what's happening at Haunted Mansion, but I found this instead. The Mark Twain just parked out in front of Harbor Galley. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. I was literally maybe 5 or 10 seconds from being on that boat. I tried to board earlier. They were just closing the gate as I was about to get on there, and I'm like, oh well, I'll get the next one. I don't know. I may miss the Mark Twain now. What's happening? They run out of gas. I made that observation because I was afraid I missed my opportunity to ride the Mark Twain and capture Haunted Mansion, and I think it would have been cool to be on the boat at that time. I would have enjoyed that anyway. And I actually hung out. They brought out a raft and everything. There's some maintenance crew on that Tom Sawyer raft right there. They're going to jump on there and handle, hopefully, whatever it is. I thought maybe this might be an evac, but no, that was just to bring on staff or, repair crew. But we got recon to do. I can't sit here and watch this all day. Let's get back to work. Let's get back into New Orleans Square. And we'll check in at the Disneyland Railroad at New Orleans Square to see these walls up. We've been watching this, trying to figure out which walls we're looking at from the concept art. They've added more of those red brick veneers to the outside there. We've been curious. Actually, you know what? I got something better than this. This is from the Fresh Baked Street team. These are over-the-wall shots. I'm guessing this is probably from Tiana's Palace, but there's a good look at the not only this wall, the wall that's being built to separate Tiana's Palace from the Haunted Mansion queue, but the rear wall back there as well. That's the outer, that's got to be the outer wall, the outer perimeter of the queue. They have come a long way on this structure. Notice also here, and this is something I think we're going to see a little closer up in another photo, but there are outlets, there are attachments to the portion of the wall that's still cinder block. Those look like water. They'd be for a water feature. Here's another shot looking a little further to the left. This is towards the train tracks, the station. You can see more of the walls being built there. That's for the queue for the Disneyland Railroad. And it does look like, if you look at the very lower third of the frame, there's another short brick wall being constructed there, but it's closed off. I wonder what that's about. Fascinating. Here's that better look I was talking about. This is, you can see a construction worker working. He's actually adding the brick veneers to that column right there, but to his left, you can get a good look. That's water. That could be electric too, but that's most likely water. So that does indicate a very good chance that the fountain will be installed here. Great sign that if we're getting a fountain here, most likely the fountain will appear on the other side of that wall as well, on the Haunted Mansion queue side of things. Another look at the queue for the Disneyland Railroad and the walls being built there. That's eventually going to hopefully be home to some landscaping. That's where we saw that really gorgeous green and purple sort of ivy landscape feature there from back in the day. I'm really looking forward to seeing that return. And then a longer view, and there again in the lower third, you can see that short little brick wall being formed there. It could be, in the concept art, we see it's on a kind of a different side than what we're seeing in this frame, but there's a sort of a raised brick terrace there where guests can sit, but that's over towards where the fountain is, I think. To the left is a tree and a planter, and the brick wall does extend down that way. I don't know, that's kind of curious. I'm curious to see. That's different from what we're seeing in the concept art, so I can't really place what it is that we're looking at. They are definitely doing something different than what was revealed in the concept art. We'll keep our eyes peeled, and hopefully we can get some more over-the-wall shots, because that is outstanding. Those shots are great. I love that. Let's check back in on the Mark Twain to see how things are going. And yes, it has, in fact, while we were busy back there in New Orleans Square, the Mark Twain got taken care of and is back on its way towards the backside of the river. So we'll let it come back around, and we'll catch that later. In the meantime, we'll go back to Haunted Mansion and check in on the gift shop. Looks like the steel is pretty much done. There's just a few more spaces there. You can see they're kind of creating the rest of that mesh type arrangement there of steel cross section. That's nearly finished on this side, and more of the boarding has been put up on the facade there, so we're getting ready for some features on there. Although it looks like the backside is not quite as far along as the Haunted Mansion side of that gift shop. We'll go to Critter Country next. There's the Hungry Bear Barbecue Jamboree sign. I can't remember if that was there before or not, so I just shot it anyway. Looking for any update on Briar Patch, but not much is going on. It's still behind Scrim and Scaffold. They're still working on the facade of that, and I can't see anything from the Mark Twain either, for that matter, so we're not going to be able to follow that one. Here's an update on the Lightning Lane and standby boards there at the entrance. They have put up a new... Last week I was commenting on how I could talk about... I was there present when they put in that one piece of boarding at Tiana's Pal or Tiana's Bayou Adventure, but they've put on a veneer on top of it. So I don't know if I can really identify that board anymore, but whatever, it's fine. I could still say I was there. But yeah, last week it was the plain, unfinished wood surface. This week we've got the wood veneers added. There's the main entrance. And a look at the wrought iron theming that has been added there. I believe that's still going to continue. They've got more theming to add to that structure there. It looks like they did finish adding the log veneers there. That was just sort of sporadic. There were just little sections of it. I was waiting for them to do that. I was wondering if they could do that right away or quickly, and they did. They did it within a week's time. So that part of the space there is complete. And as I was looking at this, I'm like, was that tree there before? Because my view seemed blocked. And sure enough, yeah, man, they put a tree in. Here's our view from this is just last week. There you can see how the log veneers have been, they were bare, just 1, 2, 3, 4 little sections there. I thought that's the lower third of what you're looking at there on Tiana's Tunnel, and then there was no tree. And in a week, they have planted a tree and finished this. That's fantastic, you guys. That's great. I love that there's a tree here, and that just made me so happy. I don't care that I can't see anything anymore. I just love that tree's there. We'll take a look on the other side of things. And once more, I'm expressing my delight with the progress that we're seeing, not just in the building itself, but back there where, you know, the ride path is. You can see that they've added some vegetation to that little lattice work there. I can't tell what exactly that is, but some kind of vegetables are growing on the vines now. They have really plussed this up in just the last week. And look at that. That's something that was there before, but I didn't notice. There's some purple pod beans being grown. That's just great. I love it. Tiana's growing her vegetables for her produce company, and I think that's great. Purple pod beans. That looks really, really cool. It looks even better when it's a sunny day like it is today, so I'm really enjoying that quite a bit. And here they've added this on the stairs up to the second level of the queue. As you prepare to make that right turn and head into the queue proper, they've added some sort of, I don't know if that's wrought iron or just some sort of decorative element to the top of that, the rock staircase being built there. Turned around to find that the scrim and scaffold are down out in front of Pooh Corner to reveal a new sign. That's what they were working on, is the Bayou Country sign has been installed. We are now in Bayou Country. That's great. I think it looks good. Some people might say it looks a little average, but I would rather them be modest here than overt. I think like those other signs that we've seen at Tiana's, those purple ones with the green, that was too overt for me. It wasn't modest enough. I like this. This fits the theming of this building. The building itself is traditional and modest, so the sign should be as well. And I think it looks really, really good. I like it. Wasn't sure if this exit sign was here. This looks new. It feels new. So I shot it. And I'm also here to report that the Pooh Corner sign has been restored just like it was before. That's the same sign that was installed in front of Pooh Corner, waiting for Lewis's Critter Club to open up. And then finally, I took another look. I wanted to see if there was anything else installed or any more theming elements installed on the exit to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And I noticed my view was blocked again. Guys, they put in another tree. There's 2 trees installed here. More trees. Yes! It goes back to what I was saying last week about having patience and being able to wait for the final product. I panic like everybody else does when they start taking out trees, but I know, I hope at least, that there's a long-term plan and that they have other, they could bring trees back. Trees are coming back to Bayou Country. Last week, there was no tree. This week, there's a tree. We'll head out of Bayou Country back to New Orleans Square, where I found an incredible scene here out in front of Haunted Mansion. New Orleans Square is back, you guys. New Orleans Square is back. And so, too, is the Mark Twain. It made its way around. And at first I thought, okay, it's doing its test run. Usually whenever the ride breaks down, they do an empty run just to cycle it. And so that's what we found here on the river. But it also was parked. It was stopped once more right here in front of Tom Sawyer Island and Pirates of the Caribbean. That's not good. That's the track switch right there. That boat is stopped at the track switch. They're parking the Mark Twain. I got to ride to Columbia today and hope I can get a shot from there. No chance. So I guess we'll get back to work and stop in real quick at the Golden Horseshoe, as I like to just check in occasionally to see if there's anything happening in here, There is nothing happening here. Still no shows, still no performers on the stage door, or I should say the Golden Horseshoe stage. While I was there, I also picked up this shot from the other side of the river of the elevator, just in case we don't get a shot from the Mark Twain. And it looks rather like it cuts a striking figure in the distance there. As you see this from, this is shot from about the Mark Twain entrance before you board, the little cube area there by the popcorn cart. And it really is just up there and out there. This is going to take some getting used to, you guys. I'm not afraid to say. I got to adjust to this. Hopefully it looks good. It becomes part of the natural element there. We'll stand by and keep working. All right, before we continue, let's check in on the Mark Twain. All right, she didn't dock. There's hope yet. Let's go check. Stop at the Jungle Cruise to see how things are going there. It is closed. Obviously, it's been down, or it's going to be down for a couple more weeks. Boats are still parked on the river, although they have cleared a few of them. There's not quite as many as there were before. We'll go to the Indiana Jones queue to see if we can get any views of the construction. Yeah, so there you can see fewer boats there as before. And there's that scrim we found last week. Nothing to observe yet. It looks just like we left it last week, although I'm sure things are being done. As I mentioned, this is going to reopen in a couple weeks in October. So it's not, I don't expect them to be doing anything serious here in terms of construction. They're just installing the footings for whatever they plan to do going forward after that. But I tried my best to see anything, literally, on the ground, behind the scrim, on top of the scrim, looking wherever I could. All right, let's go check back in on the Mark Twain once more, hoping that we have a shot of boarding.
Nice.
I don't know why, but that's the happiest I've been all day. I'm so happy that we got there on the Mark Twain. I'm in my spot on a Friday afternoon. Before we arrive at the Haunted Mansion, let's check in once more, do an eye test. I don't know why I like doing this now. I like doing these eye tests to check in on crowds. That's a pretty busy New Orleans Square for this time of day. 35-minute queue there at Pirates. The density in that part of the queue is pretty good. And there you can see the queue is extended out into the space in front of Cafe Orleans and on its way to Tiana's Palace. So there's our look over the wall from the Mark Twain. And we've already seen some really spectacular shots over that wall. Matter of fact, they were taken right about where those walls corner right there in the center of frame, is my guess. So this is pretty exciting, getting to see that. So we won't stay here too long because nothing can beat what we already got. So we'll take our next look at the elevator there behind. Well, okay, so that didn't last long. The Twain is moving again. There's over the wall at the courtyard in front of Tiana's Palace. There's a lot of staging down there, so they're definitely doing some advanced work on the ground as well as all the building those walls up. So this is definite progress forward. Where are we? We're September 28th. I mean, I think the goal here is November. I think that's a reasonable goal, but we'll see if we get there. Let's go back to the Haunted Mansion side. Did we already miss the elevator? We might have. Okay, so there's the corner of the extended queue right there as it turns right, or turns left, I should say. And then there's a look at the queue space behind the Pet Cemetery. Well, what we can see of it, still very invisible to us, invisible. And then the elevator structure has disappeared again behind those trees. But worry not, because again, the street team showed up for us this week with these really, really incredible over-the-wall shots. There's the elevator structure. It actually doesn't look as big here as it does from a distance, which is curious. It looks much more modest and fits within the queue space that they have developed back here. I'm not positive where this shot was taken, actually, now that I look at it. I don't think it's This might be from the porch, from the actual Haunted Mansion porch. The cube sometimes collects up there. So if you're near the back of that, you might be able to see an over-the-wall shot from the porch, although it could still be from the pet cemetery. I can't say for sure, but you can see there's an opening there. That's the exit door of the elevator, and then they're building, I think anyway, although they're building some sort of structure there in front of it. Lots of vertical rebar popping up there out in front of it as well, forming what I assume to be, either a planter or, well, actually not a planter, but it could be a tall one, some sort of concrete wall or column there. Very interesting. Yeah, and then there's that gray wall that I've been trying to figure out as well to its left. A lot of things going on here, and gosh, it's just so difficult for me to get a bearing. Maybe you guys can help me out. This is not my specialty, spatially, when I look at these things. There's the water tower in the back to give you a sense of space. So I'm guessing, yeah, if that's the train, then yeah, I think this is from the pet cemetery because you'd be angled to the right. Man, this is tricky. This is really, really tricky to figure this out. But okay, so lots going on here in this scene. This used to be a space that was just switchbacks, concrete and switchbacks. So they're definitely building more of a themed environment, a more detailed, structured looking environment. You've got some walls being built here, vertical rebar, and then the boards set up on top of that. There's that same vertical rebar we saw. Just out of frame to the right of that vertical rebar on the right third of frame is the elevator. Just out of frame to the right. So they're definitely building, and this is something that we saw in the concept art, that this does jive. It looked to me like they were trying to create some sort of definition within the area, like planters perhaps, or some way to, instead of just building plain switchbacks with stanchions and chains, using a garden type environment to create a flow for guests. And it does look to me like that's what they're going for here. I hope. This is fantastic. This is the most interesting and fun view we've had to date of anything happening at the Haunted Mansion, and I'm hoping that we can get a little bit more of this as time goes by. Street team, man, great job. Great job, you guys. That is fantastic. Unfortunately, we don't have any more. That's it. I could look at that for hours and days. But we'll get back on the Mark Twain and continue our trek towards Tiana's Bayou Adventure. There's that purple sign. See, I don't like that sign. That sign I don't like. The other one, the Bayou Country sign in Critter Country, is much better. That one is, but you can see there were some boxes up there. They're adding themed elements, small themed elements to the attraction. So moving right along. Speaking of small themed elements, we got frogs. There you go, guys. We got frogs on a log. You guys, pardon me while I enjoy this immensely. Frogs on a log. If you've been looking for anything to resemble Princess and the Frog, there you go. I cannot be more happy to see this. As guests make that U-turn and right turn up into the second lift hill in that barn, you're going to be greeted with two frogs sitting on a log enjoying their view. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how that looks. I mean, it's cute as heck. Am I right? That's cute as heck. And the themed environment is going to get better and better, I think, as we get around there. You can see the boxes and things like that. They're going to be adding more vegetables and things like that to indicate we're at Tiana's Foods. And then I'm really curious to see what the lighting package is. I wish we could get more rides on the Mark Twain at night to see the lighting package. Maybe we might have to make a trip, on those non-Fantasmic nights to see if we can make that happen. But for now, we'll keep going towards Bayou Country to see if there's anything new developing out there in front of Briar Patch. I mentioned that we can't see anything that's happening at the gift shop itself. There again is the sign that Tiana's Bayou Adventure sign. That's the entrance to the queue. And I think I'm zooming in because, yeah, you can see sort of you see a reflection being cast just to the right of that flowery element there on the right side of the sign. Yeah, that's reflecting something that I'm pretty sure that's going to be the wait time, your standby wait time board right there. And it's, digital, of course, unless I'm looking at that incorrectly. So yet another indication of things nearing complete. Guys, we're almost here. It is September 28th. no later than November 15th, with cast previews starting on October 22nd. Did I mention that last week? Cast previews have been scheduled. There will be live, full, everything working, full rides by October 22nd. That is less than a month from now. We are actually about 4 weeks away from the first ride-throughs of this attraction. I'm excited. I'm trying to forget everything I saw at Disney World so that I can be surprised anew by what I find here at Tiana's. We'll pass by the Disneyland Railroad, probably for the last chance or our last time to check on the tracks here. They were working on these past couple of weeks. That work seems to be about finished. And with that, we'll check in on the refurb calendar. It's actually not too bad this week. There's just a handful of stuff. The Disneyland Railroad, it's closed, obviously. No date as of yet, but as we've mentioned past, our expectation is by the end of October, late October, we'll see the Disneyland Railroad reopen. The Opera House, the Main Street Opera House, still closed. No date on that, but our expectation is by January. We're hoping that'll be done by January. Hungry Bear is still closed, of course. No date yet on that, but we do think we're close on that. I think we're maybe a couple weeks away from the Hungry Bear reopening. Small World is closed, as we noticed before. There's no official date yet. My expectation is November 15th, when the holiday season begins. Jungle Cruise is closed and will be closed. I thought I saw in previous reports that it was going to be closed until the 2nd. The calendar now says October 3rd, which means it'll reopen on October 4th. Pixie Hollow is closed and it is scheduled to reopen on October 15th. And then we have just one new item being added to the calendar this week. Ariel's Undersea Adventure. That will be closing on November 4th for some routine maintenance, as far as we understand. No date as of yet, but I think we'll get one soon. But I don't expect Ariel's to be closed for very long. I've been at the park for the better part of 4 hours doing nothing but shooting construction. Checking out the Dapper Dans, of course, as well. And I gotta say, I loved every minute of this report today. And not just because I love doing construction updates, but because everything that is happening right now in the park seems so positive and good and on the upward trend. I love the direction this park is going right now. I'm really excited about the next few months, and I'm excited for 2025 and the 70th. We're getting ready. And that's our construction update this week. Hope you guys enjoyed this. As I mentioned, a great update. I'm really looking forward to how this year finishes off. I'm very, very excited. Thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you like this show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. You can follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there, be kind to one another, and fresh baked.